Milwaukee Bucks took a risk by trading one of their longest tenured players in Chris Middleton for Washington Wizards wing Kyle Kuzma at the NBA trade deadline. Now, Kuzma, he hasn't played much meaningful basketball. However, people forget Kuzma is still an NBA champion, and he did play a vital role for the Lakers when they won their 17th title as a franchise in 2020. Kuzma, he will have to make a similar adjustment now with the Bucks. The Bucks, they traded Middleton because he was aging and he was not the player that he once was and not the defender that he once was. Kuzma, he is younger and he does offer more defensive upside as the Bucks still try and make his fit work. If Kuzma proves to be the player that the Bucks hope he can be, then he's going to be a huge boost for the Bucks and their title chances down the stretch. And Giannis Antetokounmpo reportedly gave Kuzma a large vote of support before the trade was made, per Jake Fisher. So the Milwaukee Bucks, this is a team that's kind of not being talked about a whole ton when it comes to trying to win a championship when compared to some of the other top teams in the NBA. And this one, I'm going to tell you why the Bucks, they are going to be a team that you still got to keep an eye on, and they're simply a team you can't sleep on in the Eastern Conference. Do me a solid, guys. Drop a like on the video and smash the subscribe button for more content just like this. And shout out to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. So the Bucks, they do have to work on their defense, and they got to get better in that area because their overall defense, it has been one of the bigger disappointments. Specifically, I'm talking the last 10 games heading into the All-Star break. This was a team that really prided itself on their elite defensive play, and they got to do a better job, with their stronger point of attack defense. As opposing guards, they have had way too much success just penetrating that Bucks defense, and it's put a lot of pressure on Brook Lopez and Giannis, who has obviously missed the last 6 games. But the Bucks, they do have to do a better job of just containing the perimeter if they want to be a realistic title threat. Now, their supporting cast, I think, is going to be huge as well. Gary Trent Jr., he has been solid as of late, averaging 13.3 points per game in the last 7. So they need him to be a lot more consistent on a game-to-game basis. I mean, can Trent average 15 points down the stretch? That would be huge. And obviously, the younger players have gotten a lot of opportunity this season. Andre Jackson Jr., AJ Green. Are they going to get more consistent minutes down the stretch? And are those players going to help the team's defensive issues as well? And then I really like their pickup of Kevin Porter Jr. We've seen him already with the Bucks, and he just looks like a young, athletic, much-needed player at that guard position. So I like that. And then Kuzma, I mean, he has immediately already injected some much-needed energy and youth to this team who can play well on both ends. He's not the shooter that Middleton was. Middleton was a perfect kind of space the floor shooter next to Giannis, but he definitely makes up for it with his defense, and he can still come away with some big time shots and still provide this team with a third option, if you will, when it comes to scoring. And the last bit of the season for the Bucks is going to be interesting because, what kind of rotation Doc Rivers runs out there, that's going to be the question as we get closer to the playoff time. For the Bucks now, what's going to be big for them is, of course, managing Antetokounmpo and Lillard and their workload. Like, we know the story with this team. Like, last postseason, those guys were injured. So the biggest priority for this Bucks team is going to be keeping both of those superstars who have dealt with some nagging injuries as healthy as they can be going into the playoffs. So that's why if the Bucks play cautious and, they don't rush back at Antetokounmpo, or they really take things easy with Lillard over the last stretch of games here, it's not the worst thing in the world because this Bucks team, they are built for the playoffs, and you want to have those two guys feeling 100% as we do enter the postseason. So I think very smart and strategic load management is going to be the key for this Bucks team, ensuring that they are at its best strength going into the postseason. Now, guys, before I continue on with this video, I do want to quickly mention that today's video sponsor is BetUS. And I don't know if you know this, but BetUS, they are an awesome sports book, but they also have a casino. So for all my followers who like slots or live casino dealers, you can take advantage of BetUS's amazing sign-up bonus. Right now, you can get a 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 or a 250% crypto sign-up bonus up to $5,000 by heading on over and signing up with BetUS today. So the Bucks, I liked what they did at the deadline. I know the Middleton trade has been looked at like, did they really just do that? And some people are saying they got worse, but I do like Kyle Kuzma. I think with more time as he gets acquainted with his new teammates and with the Bucks style of play, like he's gonna be a big get. And I like that he is younger. Like for as great as Middleton was for this franchise, his health was always that lingering concern. So now you have more of like a sure bet guy who's at least gonna be healthy for these games. And you know, this is a Bucks team that there is going to be a lot more shot creation now outside of Giannis and Lillard, which is what this team needs. When you have Kuzma, Trent Jr., as I said, hopefully he can be consistent. Kevin Porter Jr. So hopefully this All-Star break, the Bucks can really just lock in, make the proper adjustments, and, you know, come out playing really promising ball that leads you to think like this team can do something down the stretch of the season. But when you look at this team in a nutshell, like, if they can get better defensively, which they're definitely capable of doing, if they can keep Lillard and Antetokounmpo healthy going into the playoffs, we know how dynamic and how deadly of a duo they are. They've proven it over a large sample size. You don't have to question what they're going to give you. And really, if they get more consistency and support from their supporting cast as they kind of lock down these rotations for the last part of the season, like the Bucks can definitely get back there when it comes to being viewed as a legitimate contender in the East. Obviously, you got the Celtics, the Knicks, the Cavaliers, but the Bucks can kind of assert themselves in that top four when looking at like the legitimate title threats in the Eastern Conference. So Milwaukee's title window, like they know that it can close at any time. And that's why this season is very important for this team. You can never take for granted what you have. And you know, Giannis, Lillard, this team, like, they're going for it. Like, there is no, hey, if we make the second round, this was a successful season. Especially after last year being one and done and really being a postseason decimated with injuries. Like, they're expected to go far this season. So the expectations are still sky high, even though not a lot of people are talking about them, national media, etc. So the pressure is still there. And Doc Rivers, this is, you know, another season for him to try to get it done, but all eyes are going to be on this basketball team as we get closer to playoff time because the expectation is still there for this team to perform. But I do think the Bucks kind of flying under the radar here is a good thing for them, but internally expect them to still put their best foot forward. So we'll see what happens with this team, guys. Let me know your thoughts when it comes to the Bucks down the stretch. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and shout out to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. That is it for me. Luke signing off. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you all again in the next one.